Okay. I think we're
Hey,
on and we're going.
sounds good to me.
So we're here to talk about SummerSlam.
Oh yeah, and what a SummerSlam it was. That was a very good pay-per-view. Very,
Yeah, it
very
was.
good. I
It's
was very
like
happy with that one.
people were talking about like comparing it with WrestleMania, and it's like, wow, it was definitely up there with one of the
Yep,
WrestleManias.
for
Like
sure.
it was 4 hours, and I felt like I couldn't stop watching it. There wasn't really
Yeah.
there was no downtime really.
Nope.
It felt
Nope.
like
It was
every match mattered for one thing.
the pacing was great. I'm looking at the match length right now, and all the lengths were good. It was all in the 10, like 15 to 20 minute range, except for obviously the main event was like a half hour. Other than the Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn match, that was quicker, but it didn't need to be
Yeah.
super long. They
Yeah.
did everything they needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card was so stacked. Every title except for tag titles, but they're not doing much with that right now, seemingly.
Yeah.
And it didn't need it. There was so much storyline stuff going on this pay per view. It was mostly storyline,
Well, and that's
in
part
a
of the
good
thing I
way.
was saying. Like, it's like, so this is what we've talked about with AEW is like half of this show, right? Well,
Hmm.
I would say all of this show, 100% of the show was built on what they've done in the weeks leading up to it.
Yeah, it
And
was
I don't
all
think,
storylines.
yeah, and it's not yeah, and it's all storyline payoff, right? So
Yep.
this is not what, it's just, you don't get
Or
that from,
progression.
yeah, and you don't get it from other shows.
No.
And then, you get them. I'm not going to go on about that. We'll just talk about SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But
This was a really strong example of how storyline progress and focus can make a
yeah,
really special night. You
yeah,
know,
it was all storyline payoff, and that's what it
hmm
was.
this was incredible, man. So I guess let's run the card and talk about the
I
matches.
mean, yeah, and it started right off with Rhea and Liv.
Yeah, which I mean, great match. I thought the shoulder thing was interesting. It looked pretty sketchy. Like Rhea's shoulder looked pretty sketchy.
Yeah,
But obviously it seemed to be a work
it was.
because
Yeah,
it's known that's what she injured.
I was a little like, I was a little confused because it did look weird.
Yeah,
But I
you
think her
could see
shoulder just
like,
looks like that.
yeah, I don't know. Either
You know?
way, it was good. It was real good. Um, but obviously the main thing to go over with this one is just, like obviously, Dom turned on Rhea,
Yeah,
and that's incredible.
which
That's
is like,
definitely gonna.
I think a lot of this show too was like it was predictable, and
Yeah,
that's a
but
thing that
it,
Vince wasn't doing, right?
it
Because
was a
here's,
good example of predictable storytelling being a good thing in wrestling
yeah,
because it means that it makes sense, it's logical, and it was not. It was where the stories should go.
and
Like
it's
you can't book wrestling so that you set up a story that makes sense and you know what's what. Like you can't write stories so that if the ending is the best possible ending, but it's easy to predict, you're like, oh, we can't do it now. We
yeah,
got to swerve
yeah.
just to swerve. That's trash, though. That's how you can so easily kill some of your best
That was a
storylines
Vince
that way.
McMahon thing. He did that a lot,
Yes,
and
he would swerve
you know,
just because he was convinced he had to.
right?
You know
And
what I
it's like
mean?
the fans want to see the predictable thing. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
the reason it's being predicted is because that's what they want.
yeah. They're hoping it goes that way.
And when it goes that way,
You know,
that's when you get a good reaction. So
which they got lots of really good reactions. The
yeah,
crowd was great.
I
You had
I
mentioned to me at the beginning of the show how, for being an outdoor show, the crowd was very loud, which doesn't usually happen.
yeah,
And I think that they did a great job with crowd, I
the way
guess like
to
miking or
figure
whatever,
out
you
the
know?
crowd noise. Yeah, like
Yeah.
because like you lose a lot of sound to open air stadiums, and
Yup, big time.
that's always every time I see an open air event, I that's what I worry about.
Yeah.
But
Is that
like
the
it
crowd's
seemed
gonna sound
like
bad.
right from the jump they were loud.
Oh, yeah. Um, yeah,
But you had
57th outported. attendance. That's crazy.
57, 57 or something. It was crazy.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was wild. So, you have, so Dom kind of like, he stops Rhea from hitting Liv with the chair and says,
And it
like,
seems
hey,
like a good guy move.
yeah,
He's
you
saying,
can't win like
with
this. Yeah. And then, basically.
And then he slides it in and sets it up for Liv instead.
Yeah. And it was
so
good. And then
yeah,
there was a huge pop when he kisses Liv.
Oh, huge pop. But my favorite part was after he kisses Liv and they show Rhea in the ring, like, pissed but crying but pissed. And then it cuts back to Dom and he puts his arm around Liv and he just goes at Rhea, like, just shrugs at her. It was the most, like, Eddie Guerrero shit possible. It's so good. And it's a perfect move because Rhea is super over as a babyface right now. And I feel like Liv is even decently over, even though she's like the heel in the story, kind of. We've talked about that already, how it's kind of a gray area storyline. But Dom for sure is a heel.
Yeah.
He's for sure the bad guy in the scenario.
It's weird because they're kind of both working heel.
Yeah, for sure.
So
but it's great because you can flip Rhea, but good luck flipping Dom. So the smartest move for sure is to go, oh, let's just have him. Of course he would just scam her and bounce on her. And just be grimy even more and piss everybody off.
And it's
screwing
weird
over their most over female wrestler.
It might be one of the first times, too, that you've seen, like, the crowd pop for something that Dom's done, like, favorably.
Yeah, they wanted him to do it for sure, which I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, then obviously they showed the backstage thing with Damian super pissed, like, where the hell is he?
Yeah.
And
then Finn kind of being like, dude, I don't know.
Everybody was like, no clue, which we never saw either of them ever again the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Dom,
we saw Finn.
We're like, we're gone. Yeah, that was hilarious. And great way to start the show. Great match right off the bat. Cool seeing Liv retain over Rhea.
Yeah.
And, like, actually truly finish the revenge tour.
Yeah.
Because she seemingly, now Rhea's definitely not going to be rolling with Judgment Day, especially after the semi-main.
Yeah, I wonder how that faction's going to look now.
I'm guessing it's going to be Finn, JD, please Carlito. I hope Carlito still. And then Dom and Liv. And Liv will have completed her revenge tour on Rhea and taken everything from her. Her faction, her friends, her family, her Latino heat.
Which is weird because now it's the two of the original members that are not in it.
The two originals.
Besides Edge, who obviously isn't there
anymore. And Finn Balor, who was was the ringleader that ousted Edge, though. So it's even more, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Can't wait to see Raw, man. Raw's going to be insane. Yeah. Insane.
There's so many things, like so much aftermath of this.
This is going to be so good. So then after that was Bron Breakker, Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And that was really cool, too. Good match, fast.
Yeah, it was a shorter match.
Started right off the bat. Yeah, high energy.
It's what you expect from a Bron Breakker match,
Yeah, yep. Hard hitting. Sami looked great. Everything looked great. It seemed like it was, Sami didn't really hit too much major finisher stuff or anything like that, and it seemed like it was Bron just like Sami went to war with him for sure. Like, it wasn't going to have offense, but it wasn't like WrestleMania with Gunther for the IC title where Sami pulled out all the stops and stuff. It seemed like Bron just completely overwhelmed, and that spear at the end was insane.
Yeah.
Every time Bron runs the ropes, it's insane.
Yeah.
Nobody else looks like that.
He's a crazy athlete. I was just watching Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, you just sent that to me.
And they were watching his highlights and shit, and it's wild. He'd still be in the NFL, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, he was.
But either way,
he's just so fast. He's so fast.
He's so good. It's super deserving of the IC title. It seems short in his career, but it doesn't matter because his work in NXT proved that he's this level. And as soon as he got to the main roster, it's proof of Triple H's concept of how it all works compared to Vince's, because Vince would bring in these NXT guys that were former NXT champions and stuff, and he would go, "Yep, go job to everybody on Earth, and your gimmick's changed, your name has changed. Now you wear a mask for no reason, and you just do the job to everybody until you get released." And then I go, why didn't they work out? It was just agonizing to watch happen over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And this was a really good example of the proof that Triple H isn't going to roll like that.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker wins the IC title, and I can't wait to see him defending that. That he's the real deal, man. I don't know how long he's going to hold that for, because I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get into the main event. He's already shown he's wicked good on the mic. His character work is fine. Like, he's dialed.
That's where it comes down to is how long they want to wait before they vault him to a higher. Well, and you got to wrap up storylines that are up there too. So
true, and you got to wrap up story. Like, he's already got other stuff going on with other guys. Like, we're probably going to get Ilya Dragunov versus Bronn for the IC title, which is absolutely guaranteed to be incredible.
Yeah.
So there's a lot they can do with him. Speaking of new champions, probably the most deserving new champion in the entire company right now, that it is so about time they pulled the trigger on this guy with a belt. LA Knight versus Logan Paul.
Yeah.
LA Knight goes over, wins the U.S. title. Probably the match of the night. I think that was probably the best match of the night.
Yeah.
Logan Paul both of them looked absolutely ridiculous in this match. Logan Paul hitting that crazy springboard moonsault was just every match. Every time you see this guy have a match, he does like one thing that you just can't forget.
He's just undeniable.
He just looks crazy.
He just is.
Yeah, undeniable.
I know, like, everybody, people just don't like him for just his history,
which I get,
that, which is fine. Yeah. But the big thing was that he carried over that hate and turned it into I'm a heel, and it worked. And he's so athletic. He's just he gets it. Like, he's so natural.
Yeah, he's so good. But LA Knight, I feel like this was the best performance I have seen him have in a single match in WWE.
Yeah.
He was absolutely on fire in this match. He was pulling out all the stops, doing all kinds of badass moves.
Yeah.
And
he breaks out one of the windows before he comes in.
He shows up in his prime truck and smashes the window out with a pipe.
I mean, he just has so much charisma too, and
dude. Yeah, I cannot wait to see what he does with this title.
Yeah,
I feel like the U.S. title's been good. It's been good. I feel like the IC title, because of Gunther, has been super prestigious. He brought a lot of importance to that title back with his historic, now record-setting run, I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see how LA Knight handles the U.S. title and if he can make it matter, because he matters so much.
Yeah, and I think he will.
Because it's not that it didn't matter. It's just I feel like the last few champions have been it's been cool. Like, it's been, like, especially Logan Paul, like, he's been good with it or whatever.
Yeah.
But LA Knight having it is there's your chance to elevate it, the title, even more.
I just thought Logan doesn't need the belt. He doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't need the belt.
And he's also, he's not full-time, so
true.
He doesn't necessarily need to carry that, and he's worked main events with, AJ Styles, and
he's gone against Roman.
Yeah.
Cody.
Yeah, he's he's been up. He's proven he can pretty much work anywhere on the card. So it's not like he needs to be holding this strap right now.
No, he doesn't.
LA Knight, on the other hand, does, I think.
I think he badly needed it to legitimize in the eyes of the fans that the company is truly behind this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that this solidifies it. It validates him in a way that he hasn't had yet.
Yeah.
Because he's super over, but putting a belt on a guy really validates him. Unless
it's just like about time. It's just another case like of what I was talking about with Ziggler. It's a guy who has a lot of charisma.
It's
has
just
as a person.
Time,
nobody's really against him. Like everybody likes him.
No.
So
everybody wants to see this dude blow up and succeed. And I mean, everybody has haters online and stuff, but most people want to see this dude succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
it's kind of, you know, and I like that. I kind of like that build. I always like that kind of build because you saw it with the Yes movement.
Yeah.
Right? It's a guy who the fans like, who's not getting a push.
The Yes movement was a hair long.
Yeah, it was.
And it felt like a lot of it was initiated by legitimate fuckery backstage.
Yeah.
But they made the right move.
But it's the general same idea where you have a crowd favorite who, you know, they feel like deserves a push and eventually gets it.
Yeah.
And the weight is, you know, sometimes that weight is what is worth it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's what made WrestleMania 30 so special.
Yeah. And then, so
it's crazy to think that was 10 years ago now.
This right here, yeah, right. So then you have a title change here, and then you get another title change right after.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, they're just
three in a row.
They're just
3 in a row.
Yeah, they're just throwing belts all over the fucking place.
Yep. There were 4 title changes tonight. Or, well, not tonight, but last night.
Yeah.
For us, it's last night. Nia Jax and Bayley. I thought this was a good match.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I thought that the title change was interesting. I think that the title change will end up being good because it pushes the story they're trying to push, which is Nia Jax is kind of like friendly with Tiffy right now, but Tiffy's the one, man. She's the obvious, undeniable, will be a main eventer ASAP, and she's got the briefcase. And that was kind of the biggest story of the match, really was, you know, solid match between Bayley and Nia Jax. No issue with the match, really. There wasn't anything in it that stuck out as like a major foul or what were they thinking or anything like that. It was a solid match. But the big story was just Tiffy running out to cash in until Bayley hits her, and then she realizes that Nia's kind of a little fresh. Like, she's dominating to win, and she's like, nope, I'm good. I'm not going to cash in yet. Yeah. She's like, thought she had an opportunity because it looked like it was over.
I kind of knew she wouldn't do it just because they just changed the briefcase over to the pink or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was like, they're going to run with that for a little while.
Give her a little bit more time. But this is smart because having Nia Jax be the champ and Tiffy have the briefcase, it's classic. You know, she can keep pitching like she's going to cash in on somebody else.
Yeah.
And then cash in on Nia while Nia's in a tough belt defending match at down the road. Probably Mania. I would guess Nia's probably going to defend it till Mania because we were talking about this last night. Nia's style that she wrestles doing right now, I believe, is perfect fit for her because she's working like the giant, real giant style, and that doesn't exist in the women's division, really.
Yeah.
She's the only one that's like the big, lumbering, powerful, throw people around, big, giant worker. You know what I mean?
And I was I was not a big fan of Nia, but I can see improvement for sure. Like
for sure, yeah. And I'm willing to bet she's only going to get better now. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, and it's like. I think if they really wanted to, I said this to you last night too, is they could really make her just an unstoppable beast if they wanted to do that.
Yeah, they could absolutely do it, yeah. And I think they probably will until Mania, and they'll put her in something in Mania that really stacks against her.
Yeah.
Like a title defense against somebody major. Dude, what if Charlotte comes back and ends up facing her at Mania?
That's possible.
Because Charlotte is ridiculous.
I think they might build Tiffany to be that, though.
Well, I was going to say that's where you have Tiffany cash in on her.
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's
scoop the belt,
too.
and then you set up a long-term feud with her and Nia over the belt. Tiffy is cashing in though, and is taking that belt, and deserves it.
Yep.
She's going to be ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
She already is ridiculous.
She's definitely
every time
she's
in a big. High pressure spot, she over delivers and just steals the crowd.
Yep. Yeah, she's been really good.
So that's really all there is for that match. Just story set up for Tiffy to cash in on Nia.
Yeah. What was next?
Drew versus Punk.
Right.
And I'm on the fence with this one. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good.
It was.
I thought Punk looked amazing. Drew always does. I thought everything they did was great. It was weird having Punk's first singles match be so focused on Seth as a guest referee, and I'm not sure why they did that.
Yeah, like
I guess it makes sense in the story.
Why Rollins was even a guest in the first place.
Yeah.
And then, it turned out to just be Punk kind of screwing himself.
Yep, which makes sense. They're trying to pitch the idea that Punk couldn't control his emotions about the personal stuff, and that's what caused the loss.
Which is weird because you could have gone either way with that. You could have Drew do the same thing.
Could have, yeah, and it would have been logical either way. It's cool to see Punk put Drew over in his first match back and kind of like prove he's here to be a team player, as far as that aspect, for what it's worth. But the one thing that stands out to me with this match that was really good was just the timing of everything. The timing of the ref counts and how everything was laid out was really well done. Yeah. Really well done. And
Seth is he's a fun guest referee.
Yeah. He was great. He was great in it. And so overall I loved it. And I'm excited to see where that whole hate triangle goes.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah, and it hasn't. It certainly isn't over. So.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely not over. Which good. Yeah, they can easily get a trilogy of matches out of Punk and Drew.
Yeah, and it's been long as it is, and people can keep. Yeah, I think they can just keep doing those matches. People are interested.
And now I'm willing to bet they're going to have a triple threat between the three of them, most likely.
That would be cool.
Punk's going to have to fight Seth now. He screwed me, even though he kind of didn't. Punk kind of screwed himself.
Yeah, he did.
He lost focus of the match, focus on the bracelet.
Well, Rollins was saying it the whole way leading up. He's like, this is my match. Like, you need to just obey the rules.
I'm glad you said that, because that was one of my favorite things about the match, was all the times when it was like Punk or I think it was Punk was going to hit, or no, not hit with a chair. Punk was going to do something to Drew outside.
Yeah.
And it was actually Drew was going to do the pull back, whatever, launch him, springboard thing, and he looks at Seth, and Seth's like, screw it, go for it, just gets in the ring and struts around or whatever while he does it.
He's like, I'm going to look the other way.
That was so funny, so funny. So I liked seeing all of the moments where Seth was being like, you know what? I'll let them beat the shit out of each other. Who cares?
Yeah, and
that
it's like
funny.
You're kind of they were kind of like seeing if he would approve of certain actions.
Yeah, and he would just go, screw it. He counted to 1 while they're outside, and he just walks away.
Yeah,
and he's just like taunting the crowd stuff. Never counts again.
The crowd's just like singing his theme song, and he's going.
Yeah, so funny, dude, so funny. But either way, I think that match was also more so a setup for future matches that will come.
Yeah,
for sure. So next was Gunther versus Damian Priest.
Yeah.
And that was major.
Yeah, it was a really
I
good
thought
match.
that match was really good.
Yeah, it was. That was
really,
probably
really
number 2 of the night, I think.
Yeah, behind LA and Logan. Yeah, I think so. Really good match. My only real things to point out on this was just the obvious one again. Just the Judgment Day breakup story.
You kind of saw it coming. Like, so Gunther's laying on his side, and you see Damian kind of push him towards the ropes, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yep.
And
then Finn puts his leg on, I liked it overall because I liked the way that Finn does that. He turns his back, and he just looks pissed. The crowd pops huge for it. They're like, oh,
and
man.
Then Priest sees
and
it
then
on the Tron.
They show Priest find out by seeing the replay.
Yeah.
I liked that. I like that he doesn't just automatically gas or go, huh? Why would he know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was cool that he looks up at the replay and goes, what happened? Why is it a 2 count? Because he thinks he's got him. He doesn't realize his leg's on the rope.
Yep.
The ref's like his leg, and he's like, what? And he looks up and he sees Finn do it. And the rest of the match, he loses the bout. Gunther, new World Heavyweight Champion, super deserving. Mm-hmm. We knew that dude was going to be a world champion inevitably, and it's possibly overdue, but the historic Intercontinental title run was what prolonged the wait for him to get there. And can't wait to see what he does with this title.
One of my favorite things, too, here is you see Finn go full Anakin Skywalker Episode 3, where he straight up...
full evil.
Yeah, and it looks... He has like a bad guy face.
I love it. And I think Damian Priest was a great world champ, although his run was not super long, but it's more important to do the story stuff. I think we'll see Damian win the world title again at some point. Yeah. However, right now, way more pressing stuff. And it makes so much sense to have him lose the bout by getting screwed by Finn to set up him being ousted from the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other side of the Liv Morgan Dom thing that makes me think it's going to be Rhea and Damian that break off and become faces or good guys, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we'll see the new Judgment Day be Finn and JD, Carlito, Dom, and Liv. And that we're going to be seeing Rhea and
really
Damian
did blow up that whole
feuding
faction
with the Judgment Day.
Just in one event.
One event, they shook that all up.
Yeah.
And it had to be bittersweet, especially for Dom and Rhea. That was one thing I couldn't help think was, man, behind the scenes, this had to be an emotional night for them because their faction's one of the best, if not the best faction, entertainment-wise and star power in the company right now overall. They've been a part of a million major storylines that carried the company for the past, 2 years.
They had,
if not
4
longer.
segments at one of the shows recently.
Yeah. They've been just such a big deal, major part. So it had to be emotional for them. Even just Dom and Rhea walking out at the beginning of the show had to be emotional because they're going, here it is.
Right.
This is the last walkout where we are this, And they're all family behind the scenes. They talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
So had to be a really cool but bittersweet show for those guys in particular.
I mean, they're still going to be working with each other. It's just...
Yeah, they're just going to be feuding now. So going to be awesome storyline stuff to see, but it was it was it's always crazy to see stuff like that.
And
see
so now
major story breakups and stuff.
Yeah, and now Gunther has the heavyweight title, which is
that's going to be
wild.
Huge.
That's going to be a cool run.
Yeah.
I wonder
Guaranteed.
how, because Priest is getting over now, so I wonder how long it's going to take for him to come back and try and take that thing again.
Yeah, I wonder, man. I wonder. But yeah, that other than that, not too much to go over in the match move wise. Everything looked good. Mm-hmm. It was a great match, hard hitting match. Other than Gunther got cut on his chest from chops, and Damian was one of the first guys I've seen stand toe to toe with Gunther and look believably hard badass.
Yeah.
chopping away at him going, oh, you hit? So do
That's
I.
what I mean. I think the match did a lot for him, and I felt like the crowd was
Damian,
very behind him in that match.
Yes, I think so too. I think when Gunther won, though, the crowd popped huge for him because they know this guy is the future, and he just was officially coronated as a main eventer.
Yeah.
And deservingly so. So, lastly, Cody and Solo. This was also amazing.
Yeah, it was
Loved
good.
this.
Like long match, dude. After that,
just a hair under
match,
a half hour.
Yeah, after the Priest and Gunther match, I was like, there's an hour left somehow.
Yep.
Because it was like 10 o'clock on the East Coast, and so I'm going, how is this match going to be this long? And then they had a little bit with Miz and
they did some stuff.
The host
yep,
or
they
whatever.
did. Yeah, Miz and R-Truth. Which was who cares? But I love R-Truth.
And then
anytime they show him, he
doing
dances and stuff.
Jelly Roll with his, the 5-knuckle shuffle there. Barely could get
what?
up.
He didn't look too bad. Other than having a hard time getting up, he's just a big lumbering guy.
Yeah.
The way he did everything was good. His choke slam was actually pretty good. And a lot of that comes down to Austin theory or whatever. But still, I didn't mind the segment.
Think it looked good. Yeah,
it's what it is.
Yeah,
it didn't look bad at all. And if R-Truth is on screen, I'm in.
Yeah.
So didn't bother me. That bought some time.
Yep.
Then they did the long entrance with Cody. I really liked that. Emotional to see Pharaoh. Cody had posted prior to the event that Pharaoh's 13. He's healthy. He's 13, but he's taking him off the road. He's retiring from the road, and he's just going to live out the rest of his years at home with Brandy and his daughter.
Yeah.
And you could see that Cody was super emotional about it when he was walking him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then he bumps in to Arn Anderson,
which was interesting.
Who's back with WWE. Incredible. And Arn, mentions, I still have a lot of stroke around here, evidently. So I made some calls and talked to some people, and we've got your back covered tonight because you're dealing with these big fucking island boys.
Yeah.
And they are gonna come out.
He's
and
like,
interfere.
you still got some friends around here. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I know. We already know it's probably going to be Kevin Owens and Randy Orton for sure.
Which they've been setting up for, so it's logical.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then, everybody's thinking.
Hoping for Roman.
Yeah.
But you never know, But then, so then they have the match. And this was the first match I can think of where, Solo's good. I've seen Solo in other matches. He's been good.
Well,
this was
they
the first match that made him feel like a
broadcast.
believable main event level guy.
Yeah, they mentioned it on the broadcast, like a lot of the guys that he's beaten, and you go, oh shit, he has. He has been in big matches, and he looked good.
They did a good job on broadcasting too, by the way. Just to note quickly,
for sure.
The broadcast team was real good all night. It's so good tonight.
The match,
these days rather.
You had probably 20 minutes of this match before anything really. Any interference or anything like that.
Yep.
And it was really solid, I thought.
Cody looked great. Everything I thought. Something I've noticed with Cody and other guys is that when he does his like springboard cutter that he does, it's hit or miss. It kind of depends on the timing of the other guy because he has to trust them and just springboard and go, and they have to be a certain distance away to be able to like flatten out so the cutter looks good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like he's flat, this guy's like this, and it looks awkward. And I thought that the cutters, he did two. He did the middle rope one to Solo, and then he did the jump off the middle up to the top back one, and they both look great to me. They look good. Solo looked great.
I thought he did.
Super good match. And then I feel like the storyline stuff was obviously the big finale.
Mm-hmm.
When they had Tongaloa and Tonga boys come out and interfere, they're always fine. They're good in their roles. And I like those guys. They're good.
You know what's going to happen. But they traded off they kind of traded off interferences.
Kind of like at the end of Mania 40, where you have these guys interfere. These guys come out, and then you have Kevin Owens and Orton staggered come out to interfere to help, and that evens it. And then Jacob Fatu comes out, and he's important to note because we're pretty sure he had some kind of major injury. Looked like it for sure.
Yeah.
When he did, he attacks Cody. He's got him out of the ring. He gets him on the announce table. And he does his big, huge splash off the top rope to the outside of the table. And when he lands, watching the replays, watching the footage back, even the next day I've watched the footage back, and I'm having a hard time seeing what he may have done because it looks like he hits his thigh, like above his knee on the side of the table, but it doesn't seem like that's what injured him. or that's what's injured on him. It seems like he must have landed weird on his foot or something and maybe broke his ankle, twisted it a weird way. Because after he did that, he was super pissed, screaming and smacking the ground and stuff, and tried to stand up on his ankle and couldn't stand on his leg, and just went back down. So he hurt something major in his leg. Maybe he had like a twist fracture in his lower, like his shin or something like that.
Well, you're jumping from the turnbuckle to the, you're jumping to the...
Yeah, super high risk, of course.
I mean, you're jumping to the announce table. Even jumping that far is kind of wild. So...
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
so he hurt something and was out for the rest of the deal. And Solo even came out to check on him at one point, and he goes, "No, go, just go get him or whatever." So then Solo goes in, and he's getting the jump on Cody, and Roman comes
Eventually,
out.
Cody hits a cutter to kind of...
Cody did hit a cutter.
Lay them both out.
Yep.
And then the music hits.
Well, they were both out.
Yeah.
Well, they're both down. The music hits and Roman comes out.
Yeah, and his music is different. His music is...
It is, yeah.
It's the same...
Updated theme.
It's the same song, right?
But it's like a variation.
You can hear the underlaying, the same melody.
Yeah. Even still, MAGA crowd pop.
Yeah.
MAGA crowd
with
pop.
With the OTC shirt and shit.
Love that shirt. He looks like a man on a mission. He's barely even acknowledging the crowd. He just walks out. When he gets close, he runs in, and commentary, perfect timing. Right before he does the full, like he heats up and he starts running in, as he's still walking, they're going, "Who's he here for?"
Yeah.
You know, does he have a bone to pick with Solo for everything he's done, or is he going to screw over Cody again because he's the guy that took his title? Cody both see him and are going, "Oh boy," and Cody knows it's bloodline rules, so he's going, "Fuck me, dude. Roman's out here. I'm fucked. I'm losing my belt." And he's just sitting there looking at Roman,
which would have
been his sworn enemy for 2 years.
They could have done a swerve there and done that, but the better way to go is to have...
But it was awesome that Solo stands up and is thinking, "I'm going to try to whatever," and Roman, no talk, doesn't have any of it, just immediate Superman punch spear, and then gets the fuck out of there, and he just stares down Cody, and Cody's just staring at him the whole time, like, and he even nods at Cody at first. He looks at him, he sees him like, "We're even now.
Right.
Do your thing. I'm not going to stop you. We're going to talk later, though." Like, with his eyes. Obviously, he didn't say that literally, but he gets out of the ring, and he's just watching, and Cody just finishes off Solo, hits him with his move, the, what does he call that? The, Crossroads. Hits him with a Crossroads. One time. No triple stuff.
Yeah.
Pins him. Yeah, that's all he needed. He just got Superman punched and speared by Roman. So it's like, he hits him with one just for good measure. Pins him, but the whole time he's just staring at Roman. Like,
Yeah.
And then you see Roman say something to him, but not sure what he said. Probably just like, we're gonna have words eventually type stuff, like, your time's coming.
Yeah, and I'm wondering...
Then Roman just backs off.
I think Roman probably... his character should have a little more respect for Cody after what happened.
Probably. After everything he went through to get one over on him and everything that happened. I'm sure there's going to be character-based, like, in-story mutual respect. Obviously, there's buckets of it backstage, but I'm sure they're going to have a respect thing in their characters now because they're 1-1 at Mania, and I would not be surprised if they have a third at this point. Yeah. But I think what's going to happen now is you're setting up Bloodline Civil War. Perfect. Can't wait to see it. And I hope Roman comes back on SmackDown, right, is where the Bloodline stuff goes down. I hope he comes back and talks. Man, I can't wait to see that.
I think SmackDown needed this, too, because SmackDown's been a little weaker than Raw recently.
But it's because the primary stuff going on has been the... SmackDown's been good, but what's been the big three on SmackDown? It's been Logan and LA Knight, Nia and Bayley, and Tiffy, that whole thing.
Yep, and then Bloodline, obviously. But
Bloodline. And the Bloodline stuff has been good. There's been major moments, like when they turned on Jimmy at the beginning of it all starting to go Solo's way and the debuts of guys. And then also the big one was putting Paul Heyman out.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah, which I thought Heyman would come back here, but he didn't.
No, he'll be back. I'm betting he comes back with Roman.
Yeah, he'll probably
and he's
going to
get a huge pop when he comes back too.
Yeah.
I can't wait, man. It's going to be good stuff. Yeah. I'm not sure what you do with Cody because I think he's got to just feud with somebody else for the title at this point. Move him away from Bloodline stuff for a bit while you have Roman dealing with the Bloodline stuff.
There's no he
Let
doesn't
Roman be that. He doesn't need to be in that.
Right, his
he
business
can go
is
with
done
someone
there,
else.
I think. He doesn't have any reason to be in that, and
Correct.
I think you don't need the spotlight taken away having Cody in there. You want the spotlight on Roman and Solo.
Yeah, you don't need to. You can have you can have Cody, be the champ and not have to be tied to this Bloodline stuff right now.
Yeah.
Let them sort their stuff out, and he can give somebody else a chance at the title.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that Cody won't end up squaring up with Roman at another point.
Yeah, I thought this was easily 9 out of 10 show. Like, how do you make it better? Like, it could have been. I don't know what area they could have improved.
I'll tell you what would have been cool to see. For me, the only thing I can think of would have been cool to see Tiffy straight up cash in and beat Nia and take the title.
I thought it was still a possibility when they were celebrating in the ring.
Yeah, that would have been cool because you would have got a giant pop for Tiffy cashing in.
Yeah.
But setting up for story for later is totally acceptable.
Yeah.
And and it was a good match. So it's not like you said, 9 out of 10 for me as well.
They basically, they
SummerSlam.
wrapped up a lot of storylines and they also put a lot of question marks in people's heads.
And set up for future stuff without compromising payoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't sacrifice the ability to pay off stuff and satisfy fans and send people home super satisfied.
Right.
But they also didn't sacrifice setting up for future stuff as well. So I thought it was well balanced, well paced. Overall, I loved it. Great SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So happy with this one, man. And just leaves you going, man, I can't wait for Raw on Monday.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think even Raw right now leaves you like, I can't wait for Raw on Monday. So,
dude, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Hyped.
I couldn't really figure out when to take piss breaks on this one.
Nope, me neither.
So yeah, I think that's it. I think that we covered everything.
That's it, yeah. And we'll probably do these more. These like morning after shows that are just, there was a pay-per-view and we, our recording schedule puts us a little bit late after that. Screw that. It's easy for us to do this setup. This works well. We're prepared for it. So yeah, I think this is a good move.
Yeah.
To sneak in these pay-per-view coverage shows while it's hot.
Well, it's so easy now too. It's like you can just.
Yeah, so easy.
All right. That's it then.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you.
Peace.